All right, we are live. Woohoo.
Yay. Hey.
Welcome everybody. Welcome to Journey Beyond. So we're going to be talking today about all things dimensions and how that relates to our soul journey and our experience as humans. And we're just going on a dimensional shift here. Oh, sorry, I've got some feedback going on. Hang on. Today about all things dimension. There we go. All right. Very good. Sorry about that. I had a little feedback going on. All right. So I'm joined here today with my dear friends Jovy Wan and Lori Lines, and so I'll have them introduce themselves first. So, Jovy, would you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Well, I am Jovy Wan, and I'm a QHHT Level 3 practitioner, currently living in London. I'm originally from Hong Kong. I have had 2 decades of my life dedicated to the corporate world, but in 2009, I shift gear like a 180 to what I am doing now. I got the best luck in the world to be trained by Dolores Cannon herself for my level 1 and level 2 training. And then I was trained with her daughter, Julia Cannon, for my level 3. And I've been practicing this amazing modality since 2013. So this year is my 10 years anniversary.
No.
I am bilingual. I speak Cantonese, Chinese, and English. And it enables me to serve a lot of clients, not just the Chinese or not just the English speaker. So it's been wonderful.
Jovy,
Awesome.
I think you and I certified at almost exactly the same time.
I think so.
I think you certified just like days before I did. So we have
yeah,
almost the same journey. Yeah.
I think so. I think so.
Yeah, a little bit of Dolores and a little bit of Julia.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, welcome. I can't wait to hear your experiences with dimensions.
Thank you.
Lori, would you like to introduce yourself?
And sure. Hi, I'm Lori Lines. I'm also a QHHT Level 3 practitioner. I came in a little bit later than you two. I want to say QHHT found me just a few months before Dolores's passing, so I wasn't able to train with her, but I did train with Julia, with all 3 levels of practitionership, if you want to call it that. And I live in Central Texas, and I only speak English. You can definitely take the girl out of Texas, but you can't take it out of the girl. So I practice here, and I also do higher self coaching, mindfulness meditation coaching too. So
yeah. Way cool.
Wonderful.
Yay. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
So our topic today is this thing called dimensions, right? And we're talking about, the mysteries of them and even what are they? So I'll introduce myself a little bit first, and then let's dive into, well, what even are they? What is a dimension? Okay. So just like we mentioned earlier, I think Jovy and I had exactly the same track. I was fortunate enough to meet Dolores and work with her for my level 1 and level 2, and then she had transitioned to another dimension for my level 3. And so I've been a QHHT practitioner for 10 years now, and having all sorts of just amazing experiences with that. I am also a psychotherapist in private practice, so my background is psychology, although my bachelor's degree is in mechanical engineering.
Ooh,
So I'm
awesome.
one of those left brain woo-woo people. And came to Dolores, came to QHHT by accident, and have enjoyed every moment of the journey since. So. Yeah. So let's talk about, so what is a dimension? What do you guys think? What is a dimension?
Well,
Lori, I'll let you talk first.
The only way I know how to articulate it, and it's not easy, is it's kind of a way of describing the extent of space. And it's typically used to specify a position within that space. And in our lives, we often think of 3 dimensions, which is length and width and height. And we inhabit that commonly referred to as 3D space. So that's kind of how that's the only way I know how to explain it. You know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
For me, I feel like it's such a wonderful question, yet
It is.
no one knows the answer because what do we know, right? We're just
Right.
little human with little human brains.
Mm-hmm.
If I can tell you a story about dimension, it's quite
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
So I started my spiritual journey in 2009, January 5th to be exact, because my father passed away very unexpectedly on that day. And that like shook up my entire world, just woke me up. So I was starting to search, and then any spiritual knowledge teacher workshop that I could get my hands on, I would try. Then I was told about, the 3D, the 5D, and then there's different star system, and Sirius connected to ancient Egypt, and then, all the 3rd and 5th dimension. And then slowly a 7th dimension was introduced to the formula. The star system, Lyra, is of the 7th dimension. And then some lady wrote a book, and then it's called Sunshine Before the Dawn. And then she talked about the 12th dimension. To me, I'm like, that's too much. I have no
That's
idea what
just
they are. Yeah.
I'm
And
supposed to
then-
keep track of 12 of them.
Yeah. I'm like, what are the differences? But way too many. I have no idea. But guess what? There was this one channeler. She came to Hong Kong, and everybody highly recommended her, as curious as I was, and I still am. So I booked a session with her. And the first thing she told me was, Jovy, you're from a 51st dimensional planet. I'm like, what?
Now there's
My
51.
My first response was, I just wanted to leave the room. I'm like, I cannot handle it. What do you mean by that? No, I don't want to know. That's too much. That's crazy. Can I have my money back? Probably no, but I'm just going to leave now. That was just crazy. But by her telling me something, it wasn't like I was truly convinced or anything, but it kind of cracked open my mind, allow me to be more and more open to receive things that normally my human mind would not be able to contain or to fathom. So it's my crazy little story about my understanding of dimension at the beginning.
Uh-huh. Well, I think that brings up a good point in terms of the numbers, right? The numbers, I don't think the numbers are really real.
I agree.
I just don't think the numbers matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a human thing. The human needs the numbers, but in reality, they're just kind of like shorthand or I don't know, code, I guess, for human needs, right? How many dimensions are there? All of them?
Yeah, and is it the higher the better? I honestly don't think so.
No.
One time I have a session with a young man, and what came through his higher self is a group of beings. They claim it's from the 52nd dimension, so they abbreviate themselves as 52D. The way how they talk to him, and then the way we talk, and they told us they're very highly evolved and advanced, race on that planet, obviously a different dimension, and they're looking down at planet Earth and feeling, oh, you guys are so almost like a caveman to them. Like we needed help. So they're, sending help, doing this, doing that. But in the course of us having a good conversation and talking and me questioning them sometimes, about the thoughts and beliefs. And suddenly they were like, we must admit that although we are very advanced, both technologically and on many things, but there's something that we can learn to be better, because after speaking with you, we feel like we are a bit arrogant, the way how we look at planet Earth. I'm like, ooh, that's interesting. Like even they
Mhm.
admit it.
Uh-huh.
And truly, I feel like it's not the higher number, the better. We're just different, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. I think also what's involved in that word dimension, and I agree with you, Lori, that it's convoluted.
Oh yeah.
Use a Dolores term, because I think different people mean different things when they say that word,
Mhm.
right? And I think one of the things we use the word dimension for is a shorthand for experiencing a different vibration and frequency. So it's different. It can also be a different energy level as well as a different
Reality.
yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
was going to
also a
suggest that
different
word.
energy
Mhm.
level. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And we use those concepts interchangeably. I don't know if that's appropriate to use them interchangeably or not, because there is a way that affecting your vibration and frequency affects your reality. But I also think that sometimes we experience reality where it isn't necessarily an intentional shift in vibration or frequency. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I don't know if the mixing up of those two terms makes makes it more difficult to understand the concepts.
Yes, and to me, I would agree that it's all about the vibrational frequency.
Mhm.
So a certain set of vibrational frequency for any beings in it, they may experience a certain level of reality,
Mhm.
and then another set of vibrational frequency. But then they're all degrees of vibrational frequency, right? The spectrum is,
Right.
does it mean that we have infinite dimensions out there?
Right.
And then we jump dimension all the time, or there's a container of, a range, then this
Yeah.
range
Yeah.
is a dimension, and then another range is another dimension.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. I had the higher self explain this in the QHHT session. They use the analogy of a radio
Mhm.
and all of the different frequencies on a radio dial. In the old-fashioned radio dial, not the ones today where you go click, 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 but way back when there wasn't a click, right? And you had to like fine tune the dial, and you could get 102.2 and 102.4, but you could also get this weird thing in between 102.2 and 102.4, right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
And so there was this infinite number of frequencies that you could tune the radio dial to. You weren't
Mhm.
always listening to anything, but you could be in those in between spaces that,
Mhm.
is it 3D or 4D or 5D? 4.27639. I don't,
Mhm.
right? Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd love to share a story.
Mhm.
I've shared it
please.
before. Is that okay?
Mhm.
Yeah. I've shared it before, but there was a time where I asked them, I want to experience 5D. I don't know if I am or not. I want to experience the shift. And so a few days went by. I didn't really feel any different. And then one morning on a Saturday, I woke up and I was in such bliss. I was just, I had a reschedule, an appointment that rescheduled. They had a crisis at the time, and I was really looking forward to having my Saturday off, right? And so when I woke up, I was so happy, and I felt like I was floating through the morning. And I
Mhm.
decided, wow, I've got this day off all to myself. What can I do? I want to go do something. So I decided to go to the local farmers market, and I get out of my car, and I'm still feeling such bliss and happiness and floaty feeling. And I'm walking down the path, and on each side of the path are the tents, where the
Oh, yeah, yeah.
vendors are.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
And I'm on a little bit of an incline, and so I can, as I'm walking in, I can see a little bit above the patrons' heads, and I noticed that I could see above a lot of these market goers. I saw them in a bubble of gray.
Hmm.
and they looked gray to me. And then as I was walking along, people were running into me. They didn't see me. And then to my left, I was walking ahead, had my I was walking ahead trying to avoid anybody running into me. And to my left, I saw a vendor, and he, out of the periphery of my eye, he lit up. And so he caught my attention, and I looked over at him, and he said, "Good morning." So I'm like, okay, he's seeing me. That's cool. And this went on a couple of steps down, and a woman lit up, and she said hello to me. And then across the way, there was a wonderful Mexican-American woman that said, "Oh, you like tamales?" I said, "Oh, I love tamales." So I go over there, and she's all happy and all lit up too. And I decided, by this time, this is kind of freaking me out, because I'm not used to feeling this and experiencing this. And so I took my little tamales home to be back into my safe space. And I meditated. I ate my tamales for breakfast, and then I went into meditation, and I asked, "What was that?" And I heard, "Now you know what it feels like to be in 5D."
Wow. They gave you what you asked for.
Yeah. And, so I think sometimes we're straddling that, all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
At this
What an
juncture.
incredible awareness, though, of that, of how people, you viewed people differently, like they changed colors. That's fascinating. Had you ever had that happen before? Like,
never.
Okay.
Never. And it just kind of, what I got from it, and it may be my own judgment, I don't know, but the people that I saw in the gray seemed to be, what came to me is they're very fearful people. And this came right after we didn't get, here in Texas, we didn't get shut down, locked down like you did, Jovy, and Hong Kong, but there were a lot of people wearing masks and walking around and trying to keep their distance and things like that. And personally, I just didn't buy into that narrative, but I enjoyed being able to see the difference in the energy of the people that were in that market.
Yeah. Fascinating. So then how did it stop? Like when you got home, did it stop, or did it continue for days? Or?
Good question. I think that I was kind of freaked out to the point where I went back into 3D after my meditation. But it's a very memorable experience for me. I'm hoping to experience it again. I need to ask for it again, don't I? Yeah. That's what I need to do.
Is that easy?
Cool. Yeah. Well, Holly, do you have any such experience before?
Yeah. So, and before we go there, I just want to tail end of Lori's story is, I have lots and lots and lots of clients that talk about, I want to go to 5D, right? And I don't know, maybe we need a little context there. Dolores wrote 3 Waves of Volunteers in the New Earth. And so then we use this shorthand of 3D, 5D, 3D being old Earth, 5D being new Earth, the D being dimension, maybe. And I have a lot of clients that, when they come in for their QHHT session, they're like, just like you, Lord, I want to go to 5D. And it's like, well, it's fascinating the experience that you had being kind of in 3D and 5D simultaneously, maybe. But I often people are told that, you came from a higher dimensional place before you incarnated as this human body, right? Which, if you're listening to YouTube, you're in a human body. But you chose to incarnate into this dimension at this time in this experience, but you came from a much, much higher dimension. So, it's kind of like clients find out, if they're all in a hurry to go to this different dimension, and it's like, you've worked really hard to get here in this lower dimension, to have this lower dimensional experience, right?
I know. I have a lot of clients like that too. And I always give them this analogy. It's almost like you have planned this grand trip to Europe. All you ever want is to come home.
Right.
Like,
right.
yeah, I want to go home
right.
now.
Right.
Like
You're in
Italy, France. No,
right.
no. I just want to go home. Right.
Right. You're in the middle of the Louvre looking at the Mona Lisa going, I really wish I was on my couch. No.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Back to that point. I mean, is higher better? Yeah. That's
And we chose to come here for a reason, to experience whatever on this so-called lower dimensional frequency or whatever, right? But Dolores always said the rule of the game is about forgetting, right?
Right.
And she always talked about if the first day of your school in your entire life, maybe you're 3 years old, going to your kindergarten, and you are already given all the answers of all the examinations paper you're ever going to have in your life in the next 20, 30 years. Will you ever study?
Right.
No.
Right.
Yeah. And then that would totally defeat the whole purpose of us coming, right?
Right.
So yeah, just with this rule that we forget.
Yeah.
And then people are just rushing. I want to go home. I want to go back. I want to go to higher.
Right.
I don't want to be here.
Right. And Dolores also spoke about, just how rare the ability to come into this lower dimensional place is. I think she talked about how, there are basically souls waiting in line to get here because it's such a challenging and rare opportunity. It's like getting into some really fancy Ivy League university to be in 3D planet Earth. And yeah, back to that, great vacation. It's like, well, you worked your whole life to get into this university, and then you get there and go, yeah, I'm not going to open any books or go to any classes. Like, what?
It's intensive training, I think, to round out our souls, give us an awesome experience.
But because we are both ready, otherwise we won't be able to get this wonderful opportunity to come here, right?
I agree.
Yeah.
Everyone incarnated on the earth now, every sentient being, frankly, not just humans, have to be advanced souls, right? To witness this kind of dimension. So I think that to answer your question, Lori, about what kind of experience can I relate to? I mean, I honestly relate to my own QHHT session. I think that's what we do. I think that deep state of trance, and lots of people experience that trance state in different ways, not just QHHT. It could be meditation, it could be in sleep. But I think almost all of us have experienced this altered awareness of dimensions through altered states of consciousness. And I think about in QHHT sessions, when we take people to other lives, and I like to say other lives, not past lives, because you guys know they're present, they're simultaneous, they're future, they're outside of time. They're not just past lives. But when we go to other lives, and then you have that visceral experience of that other life. You're smelling things in that other place. I remember experiencing another life, and I could literally smell the bacon cooking on the stove, right? You're having thoughts of the other person in the other life, emotions of the other person in the other life. And I think that ability to, you're laying on the bed in hypnosis. So, Holly's here now, but also smelling bacon in another life in the 19 teens in Chicago, right? And the ability to viscerally connect to that experience is not only a way to point back to experiencing other dimensions, but also point to the fact that we're in our nature multidimensional.
Absolutely.
What do you think about multidimensionality?
Well,
Oh,
I experience it all the time. I mean, I can just be doing some mundane task at home and start, my awareness goes into another reality. And I think information that came to me a while back is that the majority of us are now in 4D, and the 4D is more about what decision are you going to make? Are you going to go to 5D or are you going to hang back? But what I realized is the quality of that experience becomes more real over time, and start having, actually feeling like I'm there, with another person or whatever situation it is. So I definitely believe we are multidimensional, and we're living a multitude of lives on those dimensions.
Yeah. And now.
In the now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have that belief, and that belief was cemented many years ago when I was having this session with a gentleman.
Oh.
He's a biologist back then in Hong Kong.
Uh-huh.
And he has this really interesting, not an illness, but he will just faint. Like walking on the street, he would just faint.
Wow.
But he will have enough time to pull out the phone and call 911 and tell them exact location and then drop. And then there will be times that he did it at home, and he was just very curious about why is this happening and all of that.
Wow.
So during the hypnosis, the first bit where we go to see one or several life. So the first life we saw, he was this like sage figure, cross-legged, sitting above a planet, like thinking, like in deep thought about how am I going to help improve this planet. And then when I tried to move him to an important day, I thought he leapfrogged to another life where he felt like he was being condemned and being sent to a kind of prison-y place. And then people were holding their hands off to his shoulders, and he need to touch some crystal. And then he got sent down to, he thought it was a prison because the feeling was he didn't want to go. He tried before and he failed. He tried many times, he failed, and he didn't want to do it again. But he was condemned to do it again. And then they just sent him deep down to like many levels down of a dungeon to lock him up, that kind of feeling. So he was unhappy.
Wow.
And then, when we come to the higher self part, and I asked, I thought those were two different lifetimes.
Mm-hmm.
But then I was told, no, everything is simultaneous.
Right.
He is this guy here. He's also that sage sitting above that planet, trying to figure out how to save that planet. And at the same time, he is that person. And he wasn't being punished or sent down to a dungeon. He turned into this gigantic crystal going down to the core of a planet. Wow. To be there, to kind of like the energy source of that planet. So he, in that two life, he is both figuring out how to sustain those planets. That's why in this lifetime on planet Earth, he's a biologist, because he needs those knowledge to fit into the other two life so that they will get the knowledge. But he has this issue of fainting because of what he does in the other life. So his physical body will once in a while will just and then black out. But then I was asking, is there any possibility that we heal that? Because to me, it sounds dangerous, right? You can be walking on the street, driving
or
a car,
driving.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Or just across the street right in front of a car. What if you just drop there?
Right.
But I was told that the higher self said, we're sorry, we cannot fix that, because naturally he will have this symptom because of the connection of these other lifetimes. But don't you worry, we are going to protect him. So from all his past experiences, he did not get hurt, not even once. And that crazy time while he was falling down, he still had enough time to pull out the phone, call 911, get the ambulance, and then drop down. That was just amazing. They just reassure us that, don't you worry, he's going to be safe. So many years ago, this session, and I was like, whoa, that is truly multidimensional. We are multidimensional, and we are living many lives at the same time. It's just a little bit of us in this life, in this body, doing this thing on this 3D planet.
I agree. Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things, like, we even heard Dolores Cannon say about the new Earth. Well, it's already there. And it's like, but I'm not already there, right? And
how do we know?
Yeah, actually, you are.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's another interesting dimension about the human experience, is this dimension of time.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think about the dimension of time? I mean, we're just talking about that. Well, you can transcend time in altered states of consciousness. I can go back to the 19 teens and smell myself cooking bacon in Chicago. But what about how does the dimension of time then relate to dimensions in general? Or is it a dimension, or is it different than a dimension?
This is just my understanding. I do not believe time is a dimension, because we always talk about time only exists on planet Earth, but who do we know they may exist on other planets, other dimensions? But here we have past, present, and future, but in the quantum field, everything is existing together. That's why, Holly, you don't like to call it a past life, because truly everything is now, right? It's just from this vantage point as a humans, our perspective to see, oh, it looks like 200 years ago, it looks futuristic. So we label it as a past or present. And in an altered state, I think we both have a lot of experiences. When our client got up from the hypnosis, we asked them, how long do you think it has been? They usually said, well, not long, half an hour. And it is already 2.5 hours, right?
Exactly.
That happens a lot, because, in that state, time feels completely differently. Right. So it's the sensation of it, the feeling of it is very different. But when we talk about how we kind of define in our way a dimension it's the vibrational frequency, right?
Yeah.
So
I agree.
I don't have the knowledge as yet how time has different vibrational frequency, hence it becomes a dimension in itself. So it's just maybe a concept we play with here. It's just something fun we have here. And then for some other dimensions of planets, this doesn't exist. Like everything is instant.
I totally agree. I mean, and everybody, again, back to this, everybody experiences all kinds of dimensions all the time. Think about the experience of time when you're sleeping.
You don't experience time when you're sleeping.
You don't. So every night, all of us experience timelessness. In our sleep.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Jovy. I don't think it's a dimension. I think it's an experience. And if you think about, like, a human life is 100 years, let's say. And think about just on 3D planet Earth, ordinary experience, but we have all of these other creatures with us. So think about another extreme, a fruit fly. And a fruit fly's life is 24 hours. Fruit flies only live 24 hours. So can you imagine how an entire lifetime in 24 hours versus an entire lifetime in 100 years, how that construct of time is different for those different kinds of creatures? And so it's just an experience that our brain has. It isn't really a real dimension. I agree with you.
But see, even not from different species within our own body, different parts has different lifespan, don't you think? Our hair, our nail, our skin, how our cells rejuvenate, how soon anything die and we create it. It's different, right?
I do think it's really, 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 really hard for the human brain to wrap itself around timelessness, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully not for long.
Right. Right. Yeah. All right. So when we talk about other dimensions, and we're, part of what we're going to talk about today is the soul. What dimension does your soul reside in? Or does it? Or is it in 3D or 5D or what did you say, Joey? 51D? Or yeah.
Yeah. Well, why don't I let Lori talk about that
Okay.
first?
I think the soul is multidimensional.
Mm-hmm.
That's I mean, what's looking out your eyes? Your soul. So I do think it's multidimensional, and we're in these bodies that are limiting us from, experiencing those multidimensions physically. But I do believe that it's all, to me, how do I put it? I don't intellectualize it too much. I just see kind of the soul as what animates us, and it's multidimensional. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
And I've had, I had a QHHT session one time where, kind of like you, Jovy, where my client experienced herself in a parallel life. She was born in 1969, and in this timeline where we are right now, and she experienced herself as a 30-something-year-old in the 1970s. And that just blew me away, because that was new to me. That's how I was introduced to multidimensional reality. But go ahead. I didn't mean to get off topic here.
No, absolutely. So the
Yeah.
soul doesn't care about timelines.
Right. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so huge.
But I'm always fascinated. We talk about soul, but what exactly is a soul? Right?
Yeah.
We have this concept, we all spark off from source and we have our own journey. So what spark off from soul is that from source, not soul? Is that a soul? And then people talk about a soul group. And then what is the difference between a soul and someone's higher self?
Yeah, I think the terms are interchangeable.
I do too.
Personally. I use them interchangeably.
I do too.
I just say it's the eternal aspect of you. But I think there's also a unique twist when we talk about dimensions and where does the soul reside, and in what dimension does the soul reside?
But what if the soul doesn't need to need to reside at a certain home, like
right.
Yeah.
But then also I think we come into this dimension experience as a human. We experience this weird thing called time, which is an experience, not a dimension. But then we also have this weird experience, which is separation. The sense of, I am Holly, you are Jovy, you are Lori. But I think at a soul level, our souls don't see it that way. They're just, they don't see the separation. And so then this my soul or your soul is kind of not, it's a little more like Jello, I think, when we're outside of the body.
That's what we always talk about, the oneness, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think there are, obviously, we're here to have these experiences and even challenging experiences for soul growth. But I don't necessarily think that when we're outside of form and when we're at the soul level, that there's this, well, I learned this, therefore, I think it's like as we experience and as we grow, like all the souls learn and grow. Does that make sense?
I would think so. Yeah. Because
or
we're
maybe
all
it's
connected. We're all one anyway.
Maybe it's the soul learns and grows. I don't know.
And I always feel like, why all the souls coming out and having their own unique journey through all existence in all dimensions, we will not have the same life. My life is very different from yours, from Lori's, right?
Mhm.
But at the end, we all contribute to the collective pool,
Right.
right? It's the collective pool of experiences, wisdoms, growth, everything that we can all tap into.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And we take, Source takes those experiences and continues to create.
Yeah, yeah,
We are Source.
we are.
Yeah.
We're little sparks of Source.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys get this question from clients. I get it frequently. And the question is, how many lives have I had? Or no, actually the client will ask, how
Yeah.
many past lives have I had? So
Yeah.
of course we have to have a conversation about past lives.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
But then often I find the higher self in QHHT sessions really struggles with answering that question, because
Right.
from them it's like, I don't
That's a
know.
left brain question.
Yeah, I
isn't
don't know
it?
how to answer that,
Yeah.
Hmm. I've got a lot of answers being, it's irrelevant.
Yeah, yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not even
Every once in a
important
while,
for
a
them
number.
to know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, there will be a really odd number.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But then they always supplemented it as like, it's not important.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah. How many past lives have you had? All of them. Yeah.
That's a good one. That's a good answer.
Yeah.
Right.
And no matter how many past lives you have,
Yeah.
you're going to have all of the future lives as well, right?
Right. Now. Right?
It's gonna be
In the now.
infinity anyway, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, all in the now.
Now, I do think there are other lives that are, I don't know how to put this, bleeding over or important to this particular incarnation, intertwined with, I guess, energetically, kind of, sort of. And so there are other lives that can be important to this incarnation. I'm sure you've had situations where people have come in for some sort of physical healing, and we find out that the energy that is causing the injury actually happened in another time in another place. So we are healing across time. And then
Hence quantum.
Yeah. So then obviously that one other life was important to that person.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had many of those.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yep. All right. So people say, where I want to go to the new earth. Like, I want to leave here and go to there. Where are these other dimensions?
It's not a physical location.
It's in our consciousness.
Right.
It's consciousnness.
Right.
And what takes you there is your vibrational frequency.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. Right. I always, when I'm posed with this question, I like to think about, back to Laura, you just mentioned quantum. I'm a huge quantum physics nerd. I mean, if I can get my hands on a book about quantum physics that an ordinary person can understand, not a physicist, I'm reading it. But I mean, think about, like, a brick wall isn't solid.
Right.
Right? It just appears solid.
Mhm.
But quantum physicists know that, the vast majority of that brick wall is actually empty space. And there's just these little teeny tiny quantum particles that are popping in and out of existence with certain charges and spins and whatnot to make it look like a brick wall. And so when you say go to there, it's like, well, is even here?
Mm-hmm.
You follow me?
I do.
Yeah.
And I don't believe in, I still am, of course, indoctrinated with our language, but I don't think a thing is a thing.
Right.
Everything's molecularly alive. Everything's changing all the time.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Have you guys had people regress in sessions as inanimate objects, like rocks or
Ooh.
trees or
Yes,
mountains or
rocks.
stars or yeah.
I have had the atmosphere.
The atmosphere. Yeah.
I've had wind.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Yeah, lots
Yep.
of lots of stone.
Yep, lots of
Yeah.
rocks. Yeah.
Yeah, lots of rocks.
I had to ask, okay, why? What's the purpose of life as a rock? And they said to rest. I'm like, well, yeah, that's a pretty restful life. And then I'm like, well, how does the rock die? Like, do you have to wait until it shrivels into a grain of sand? And then how do you even define that? And they're like, no, the spirit just decides it's finished with that experience and leaves,
Mhm.
Mhm.
So it isn't, your soul isn't connected to your experience by virtue of birth or death, right? It can
Yeah.
have that experience at any time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So anyway,
My rocks have learned patience.
okay. Yep. Yep. You can certainly learn patience as a rock.
I
Yeah.
have a fun story about one of my rocks.
Oh, I want to
I
hear.
have one, it's a little one inside a volcano.
Yeah.
It took us ages to find out, oh, you're actually inside a volcano, because at the beginning it was all dark. And whenever it was all dark, the client's tendency is, no, nothing, there's nothing. I'm not seeing, there's
Mhm.
nothing, right?
Mhm.
But I love darkness because there's infinite possibilities there, right?
Yes.
So we eventually find out that she was one of those little rocks inside the volcano. There's absolutely no light coming in, so it's all dark, and then it's all very tight space inside. So she could not even move around. It was just so boring. Like, she couldn't move, she couldn't see anything. She was there for a long, long, long time. So no matter what important day we moved to, still the same.
Wow.
So finally, something happened. Guess what? The volcano erupted.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm moving. I'm seeing the sky. I'm seeing color. Oh my God, I'm no longer gray. I am red, and now I'm orange, but now I'm stopped. And now I'm kind of grayish. And then it was that excitement, that joy when she came out.
Yeah.
And it's quite relevant to her life in this present lifetime. It's because she felt like there were so many things happened to her and she couldn't handle. It's way too much, like a bit of like, why me, right? And then the high self-wisdom was about, you want more happenings in your life. You don't want any more boring life. You asked for it,
Right.
and now you're having it. So what more do you want, right?
Awesome.
And then, after she got out, she was like, whoa, now I know. I'm not going to complain. I'm just going to enjoy everything.
Okay. Well, being a rock in a volcanic eruption, that's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Wow. So back to this where do we go? And people, I think a lot of people that I talk to, they have this misconception that the new, and we do this because we're visual creatures and people have made paintings and visual art associated, even on the cover of Dolores's 3 Ways of Volunteers in the New Earth, there's the visual image of literal to earth.
Split, yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, it's not a different place. It's right here. You're making it with your vibrational frequency. It's the same farmer's market that everybody else is at, right?
Right. Exactly.
But you're in 5D at that same place that everybody else was, but in a very, very, very different experience.
Yeah. So literally everywhere can be 5D. Everywhere can be whatever D it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You don't have to go anywhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so then I think, that kind of is like full circle in terms of wanting to be somewhere where you're not, and then missing the opportunity to be where you are. Right. Yeah. Getting stuck in that cycle.
Yeah.
So what advice do you have to people if they want to connect or see other dimensions? So we know we can go there at any time, that many of us go there, we go there in our sleep, in trance state, in different places. All dimensions exist in the now. What advice would you have for people if they wanted to have different dimensional experiences in
meditation? I mean, that's the meditation. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you get that? I swear, every single solitary session, especially if there's physical healing, well, what do you recommend for Mary to perpetuate her health now that you've done all of this wonderful healing for her? Meditate
Meditate.
daily. Yeah.
If not more.
Also another question almost all my clients love to ask is, how am I going to strengthen my connection with my higher self? How do I get guidance from my higher self after this session? Answer is always the same. Meditate.
Yeah.
Daily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the higher self always says you're doing it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. The
You're already
connection is
doing
always
it.
there. Yeah. You just have to quiet down your mind
And trust
so
it.
that, so that you notice me, so that you will hear me. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's not about grasping at connecting something that you're unconnected to. It's about quieting so that you recognize the connection that's already there.
Yeah.
Right.
And one thing about meditation that I want to mention is because so many people have their perceived notion about or preconceived notion about what meditation should be. You need to sit cross-legged, do this, da 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 da.
You got to have the right pillow and the right
Mhm.
incense and the right
Yeah, and then the
singing
right
bowl
mat,
and-
yeah, the color and some oil and then yeah, incense, whatever. No, one time I had this client's higher self. What they told me or us, it was so profound. They said, if you are in your present, just one breathe in and breathe out is a complete meditation already.
Yes. Yes.
So it's come back to the present moment, and you don't need to have all the bells and whistles. It's all about quieting the mind. You can lie down if you want, you can stand up, you can wash your dishes, you can be doing whatever. It's just the act of quieting the mind, going within.
Exactly.
That's all. And I just so love about one breath is already a meditation.
It
if you're fully
is.
present. Isn't that
I get
beautiful?
a lot of clients say, well, I try, but I don't know if I'm doing it right.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, you know, do what Jovy just said and you'll be fine, right?
Yeah. And I think too, I mean, it's a practice, right? If you think about someone who's never connected before or been consciously aware of their connection before, and they're, maybe they're 35 years old. Well, you've spent 35 years in the hamster wheel, right?
Yeah.
Give yourself be patient with yourself. You may not be able to become aware of the connection in your first meditation or your 131st meditation, right? It might take a little time. You spent 35 years disconnected or unaware. Give yourself at least a few weeks to
Yes. Consistency. And also, you can cultivate you can cultivate patience through meditation. If you just do it, you can't fail at it. If you just do it.
Yeah. And the more you do it, the easier it gets.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And my experience, and so as many others, is our practice always evolve. The practice of meditation, what I did 13, 14 years ago is very different from what I do today. And it will continue to evolve. So don't force yourself to stick to this is the right way because this is what that master taught me, so I have to follow that. No.
Exactly.
The whole point about QHT being so powerful and so empowering is we are not having another person outside of you telling you what to do, what to think. It's about you connecting to your own inner wisdom, that most powerful part of you, to guide your own physical self, right? So just chill and allow.
Yeah. Personally, just to bring it back to what you said earlier, Jovy, but when I first started, I was like, I would set a timer on my phone. Okay, well, I have to sit here for 30 minutes. Right. It's like back to what you said, it's a single breath, right? And now, like, I know I don't have to set a timer because the feeling arises. I can tap in internally to know, okay, I've gotten what I needed for today.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it takes time to cultivate that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It
I think
does.
another thing that I'll continue to point back to, and I recommend this to people who are going through my higher self integration class um dream journaling.
Yes.
You know,
Mm.
you're connected, your ego self is asleep in your dreams. And so then that can be another way that you can more readily experience higher self and experience other dimensions. I do think that there are dreams that are just, it really is just our human mind working out our day-to-day problems. The
Mhm.
scientists know that the brain just continues to, the
Mhm.
little calculator wheels are going at night. But then there are other dreams that it's like, that wasn't
Yeah.
just your human brain.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But if we don't have a consistent practice of journaling our dreams, of reflecting on our dreams, then I think we can miss out on that kind of really
Yeah.
important connection.
Can I
And
give
what
you
a
guys one example of a dream I had,
yeah.
which was to me very profound? And we go to all kinds of places, do all kinds of things while we are in dream time.
Mm-hmm.
So one time I was in that half asleep, half awake state in the morning. And I know that's the most juicy time that I can still remember and then, get all the wisdom in it. So in that state, I saw myself not having a form. It's a classroom setting. It's a humongous auditorium, all for white light. No form, but I could sense. There's no form, but I could see there are a lot of students, myself included there. And there's one kind of professor out there teaching us.
Mhm.
And then there's this formless whiteboard out there. And the teacher was drawing circle, big circle, small circle, all kinds of circles there. So I'm like, puzzled. And then I raised my formless hand and asked, so what does that mean? And telepathically, I received the answer, like, this is all you beings. Everyone is on a journey. You're at different point, but you will always go back full circle and everyone will be fine. All is well. Don't you ever worry about anyone. You're just on a journey, going through different stages. No circle is the same. The small one at each point is different, but you will always go back to full circle. I remember I felt so good, such a huge sense of relief. And that felt like truth to me. And then I woke up feeling amazing. And I was having this amazing high the entire day, like knowing we're all well, everyone is fine. It's just a journey here and everyone is at different point. It's so good.
Any advice on the dream state, Lori, for people wanting to connect or witness other dimensions?
I say just, go in with that intention before you go to bed at night.
Yeah.
And open yourself and allow and see what kind of awesome journey you go through.
Yeah. I think that brings up a really good point, and that is, and it goes back to also your farmer's market experience, which is the importance of intention.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Intention's very important.
Yeah.
If I want a specific answer in a dream or meditation, then it's really important. And I'll go to the degree of literally writing the intention down. I think just like the pen to paper and having that process of writing it.
Yeah, that crystallizes it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I always wrote out my prayers and affirmations, and it seems like they would be answered, or understanding would come much quicker when I wrote it out.
Yeah. And another important intention, I think, when it comes to dreams and meditation is, I don't know about you guys, but we get really, really practiced at meditation. Sometimes I come out of meditation and I forget where I was. It's almost like a dream, right? It's like you're so deep in that it's like, oh yeah, where was I can't even remember the meditation when I come out of the meditation, because I was just, my mind was just so not connected to what it was experiencing. And I think the intention of remembering is also important.
That's
Yeah,
a good
please
one.
help me
Yeah.
remember, team.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need an answer to this question and help me remember.
yeah.
Yeah.
Good
Very
point.
good. Yeah.
Very good point.
Yeah.
Okay. So if people want to go to the new earth, what do they do?
Meditate.
We talk about vibrational frequency, right? And we imagine the new earth has a higher vibrational frequency than the so-called old earth, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we do whatever to help us raise our vibrational frequency. And it's, one thing very simple to me is our emotional state is a very good indicator of what kind of vibrational frequency we're practicing.
Yes.
If we are feeling good, feeling joyful, feeling peaceful, feeling amazing, feeling high, it's high vibe, right?
Mhm.
If we are angry, vengeful, and all of that, you can label as negative emotion. You're not at a high vibe state, right?
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
it's not about us refusing to feel all those negative emotions. No, it's one of the perks that we come here to experience all spectrums of all emotions, right? It's just that we don't dwell on it and never get out, right?
Right.
And then when we detect wherever state we are, then we can choose a better feeling thought, and one better feeling thought at a time, and then get to a better feeling state, and then raise our vibrational frequency higher.
Yes.
The easiest to do, but it's about practicing and cultivating our awareness. We don't want to go about our life in a totally zombie-like state, just do whatever we were given. Like we all talk about, we want to be intentional.
Mhm.
When we have that awareness, it will be so much easier for us to self-regulate back to a level of higher vibrational frequency.
That's true. People will ask me, well, how do I raise my vibrational frequency? And I'll say, well, the first thing you need to understand is what your own vibrational frequency feels like, because most people don't even know that. They're outward focused. And so that's another reason it's, that I tell people how important it is to meditate, because it's in the meditation that you can feel it. You don't have to put a label on how you're feeling. We don't need to intellectualize it. We just feel it. And that's how you know what your vibrational frequency is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then you go, and then as you continue meditating and all of that, you really get a good feel for your own vibration and who you are. And then you're empowered to change it, like you're talking about, Jovy, through the emotions and thoughts.
And sometimes I feel like, meditation is really, really good, but you don't need to get into meditation like 50 times a day.
Exactly.
But just quiet your mind.
Right.
Like that, take one breath.
Yes. One breath.
Go inside, just quiet down and tune in and feel into your own feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get it, right?
Absolutely.
I think one of the things too that can be challenging, and it was challenging for me. So as we talk about new earth and how do we get to new earth, and it's about our, we're all responsible for our own vibrational state.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that how you put that, Jovy. It's not to negate having challenging experiences.
Right.
We came here to have those challenging experiences, but we also don't have to stay mired in the challenging experience when we have them. But I think, as we watch, and Dolores wrote this in her book, 3 Waves of Volunteers, that as the new earth is birthed and more people choose that, systems in the old frequency have to crash and be rebuilt in a higher dimension, right? So we're going to watch disasters happening around us, whether it's natural disasters or human-made disasters. Oh, there they are. Oh,
I
look, there's
think
another
we
one.
have been watching, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have been.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, here's another one.
Yeah.
Which makes it even harder to be, to be in a higher vibrational frequency. And I think a lot of people, myself included, are like, well, I have to do something. I have to, I have to go help. I have to do this. I have to go travel to here and help in this way. And it's like, that's not how you help. You help here, right? You help in
Yes.
your heart. You help in your vibrational frequency. It's not about what you're doing with your hands. I mean, certainly you can do that if it's 2 inches from your face and it's something in your community or your family or whatever. Absolutely, you can pitch in and help. But to think that what we do with our hands is what creates the healing or creates the new earth, as opposed to our vibrational frequency, that's not the case.
And vibrational frequency is the trillion times more productive way.
It is.
Yeah.
Good point, Holly. Yeah.
It's also easy to get kind of sucked into then that narrative of, oh, look at what was behind this action, the kind of the conspiracy theory things or the fear-based stories that attract, I think, a lot of us. And then to recognize, ooh, there's that hook into fear again, right? Let me pull that out and drop that one again and recognize that I'm creating my own fear-based frequency with what I'm feeding myself in terms of information and connection.
I agree. Yeah.
But isn't this the glorious journey of growth of human beings?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, from the totally unknown zombie state to being more aware and getting more and more, and then getting hooked, and I can unhook it. It's just so wonderful.
Yeah. I also think too, I've seen this on some forums online of this belief of new earth. It's like, well, if once we get rid of that bad old 3D earth, then everything in the universe is going to be great. And it's like, actually, the earth herself is going through this evolution right now because she wants to experience 5D, the earth as a sentient being. But there will always be places in the universe of really low and challenging vibrations because their souls are going to want to be there. So just because Gaia is saying, I'm over with that 3D experience, I want to have a 5D experience. Well, there's still going to be another planet over here, another star system over there, another rock over there that is like, well, by the way, if you really want to experience pain and suffering, you can have a vacation over here, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It isn't about not having challenging experiences in the universe.
No.
And truly, we all know that we learn and grow the most from the most challenging situations, right?
Yeah. Damn it.
I was told
I know. Damn it, right?
I was told that the 5D though will have challenges, but the challenges will be, they won't have as sharp of an edge to them.
Yeah.
That it'll be softer, but still challenging.
Yeah.
But then the soul may choose to go to somewhere else.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, and how lucky are we? I mean, we just got the golden tickets of incarnation to be on Gaia now, helping her through her evolutionary process. Like, wow.
What a great time to be alive.
And honestly, in turn, she is helping us all to go through our transformation as well. We are all in this together. And I am always so grateful to Mother Earth, who's our most amazing host, so loving, so unconditional, through millennia.
Right. And to have this experience collaboratively with her. And so then how do we help her? What's in my heart, right? What vibration frequency am I emitting on her behalf?
And I would send her more love.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're getting lots of high fives and hearts and all kinds of things in the chat.
Awesome.
If anybody has a question for us about dimensions, please drop that in the chat and we'll get that answered. All right. So Jovy, any last words from you on dimensions and the journey and the soul and unveiling those dimensions of the soul?
Well, what came to my mind is, remember when we count our clients in our hypnosis, we always emphasize this is what you're focused on at the moment, this lifetime. So focus on this, live in the present moment. They're all fun and interesting and fascinating, but we come here for a reason. So live your life to the best you can and just enjoy everything. Like live in the present moment. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say that too. In my own words, is definitely, especially those people that I get sometimes that are starting to experience their multidimensionality and they're thinking that they're going crazy when they're really not. And again, to parrot what Jovy is saying, get mindful, get very present in the moment, and you know, be in your body and just watch the ride. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll just add the one comment we talked about earlier too. And we've kind of mentioned it in about 40 different ways, implicitly, not necessarily explicitly, but what's your intention? What do you want? What do you really want? And then spending that time, that introspective time, that helps you unpack, well, where do you want to be? What dimension do you want to be in? And what's your intention? What is your intention? Yeah. Be intentional. Be here now and be intentional. Yeah, great. All right, Jovy, where do people find you?
Well, you can come to my website, jovywan.com, JOVYWAN.com.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you're in London.
I'm in London. Yes.
Awesome.
Lori, where can people find you?
LoriLines.com.
Very good. Very good.
I'm in Central Texas.
Okay, very good. Very good. And I'm Holly Duckworth, and you can find me at AwareCareDurango.com because I'm in Durango, Colorado. So that's AwareCareDurango.com. That's my website. And thank you everybody that's joined us today. We've had a blast, and thank you so much, Jovy and Lori, for joining me for this fascinating conversation about dimensions.
So
Thank
wonderful
you for
seeing
having
you both.
us.
Thank you.
Yes, what a lovely chat. Thank you.
I enjoyed it.
Thanks.
Thank you.